Right, good morning all. So we continue our conversation, right? Discussions from the Quran, right? And we today we want to just briefly discuss this concept about prayer in Islam and prayer generally, prayer in Islam, right? Now the book includes all. Everything is accounted for within the Quran, right? So whatever your mannerisms of praying, all these things is included in the Quran. The book talks about following the way of the Prophet, which means 5 times a day allocate some time to remember in Allah, to remember in God, right? 5 times per day, right? Um, so we could take that approach. You do not have to necessarily pray in the way, in the exact manner, in the exact formula, right? As the Prophet would have done. Right? The point is remembrance of Allah, remembrance of God at least 5 times per day, right? So that's what it means when it says to be guided by the Prophet. You don't have to follow exactly everything the Prophet did in the way that he did it. Be guided by the knowledge, be guided by the wisdom, right? So we're talking about prayer and why is prayer necessary. Now, the book mentions that Allah is free of need. Allah doesn't really need your prayer, right? Allah is self-sustaining. Allah is self-sustaining. He doesn't require your prayer, right? He is free from the need of praise, and he is free from need generally, right? Allah is free from the need of praise, the need of your worship, and the need of anything in the world: food, clothing, shelter, everything, right? Because Allah is the unseen, Allah exists, full stop, right? um so we humans are in need of these things, not praise. I mean, we humans are in need of the basic human requirements and all these things, right? And we like praise, right? We like to be praised. We like to be commended for our efforts. We like these things. These things make us feel good, right? But the book is saying that Allah Himself is free from need of praise and need of worship. So, what is really the point of prayer, right? Why do you pray, right? Why do you pray? Right? So many of us, you all could answer this question, right? Why do you pray? What's the point of prayer, right? In my understanding, prayer is something that helps us to feel better about ourselves, right? It's something that makes us feel better about ourselves, right? There are certain things we lack as human beings, certain characteristics, certain deficiencies in our personality and our character, certain deficiencies in our character that we think, oh, we could just pray, pray rather than taking the appropriate action necessary, right? Taking the appropriate action necessary to fix certain things. So that's why there are concepts like, hey, you are chosen for this. I am chosen for you. You are chosen for me, right? What this really means, right? That God is going to say, if I'm chosen for a person, right? Is God going to, the wind, through the wind alone, God is going to push me on a plane, send me to a different country, right? You need to take particular steps. You need to book a ticket. If you don't know how to book a ticket, you need to seek assistance to book a ticket, right? Get on a plane, go through the go through the process, the airport process, authorities process. You reach the country, you need to get on a vehicle, you need to get transport. There are particular steps you need to take to get to your destination, right? So when people say, I'm chosen for you, you are chosen for me, God is not going to send a storm, a wind and just blow you across and blow you across to America, blow you across to England, blow you across to the Middle East, to India, to wherever, to Trinidad and Tobago, right? If you are if you the word chosen, right? What chosen mean, right? Chosen, what I mean? It doesn't have a meaning, right? Because you choose, I choose, right? You choose and I choose, right? So this is what it means to take back your own power, right? If you know that you want to get something, you don't sit and pray, and it will just magically come to you, right? There are certain requirements meaning to bring yourself, right, into alignment towards that which you desire, right? That is what that is what it means, right? And that's why in the Quran there's this we're saying Allah chooses whom He wills, right? Allah chooses whom He wills. Allah chooses whom He wills, right? Because He chooses that person or those people, right, who are willing to put the effort and the energy into bringing their actions into alignment, right? Bringing your actions, right, into alignment with that which you say that you righteously desire, right? So there are certain flaws in your character, right? You seek to rectify those flaws in your character, right? You rectify the flaws in your character. You ask for assistance from Allah, right? You ask for assistance, but you need to put in, right, in order to get to that. You're not going to just if you say that you want something, and that's something, for example, you smoking, drinking, eating meat, doing all these things, but you want to marry a pundit, for example, right? How is that going to happen? How is that going to happen? Like, you smoking, drinking, eating meat, going from bar to bar, right? But hey, I go into a praise and I see pundit, right? And I say, hey, well, I really like this person and I want to marry this person, right? How is that going to happen, right? Is it not that I need to put that effort in, right? I need to put the effort in to match, right, the characteristics or the attributes of that person, right? And likewise, if that person say they want to get married to me, that person have to put the effort and the energy into bringing themselves into alignment with the characteristics that suit that, right? So the purpose of prayer really is a form to help us discipline ourselves. It actually has nothing to do with God or Allah, because God or Allah is free from those things, right? It's a way, it's a mechanism Allah uses, right, to help us discipline our own selves, right, to get our own character, right, that's receptive to that which we want to receive and that which we want to put out into the universe, right? So that's really the purpose of prayer. There's none beyond that, besides helping to keep our minds stable, right, keeping our minds balanced and stable, and keeping us to maintain discipline and righteous conduct, especially within turbulent times like this that we're living in, and especially in times of the unknown, right? So that's essentially what prayer in Islam, the purpose of prayer in Islam is for, right? Because, like I said, the book, you literally, I mentioned this that the book is a little bit trippy, right? Like, I kind of trip up your head a little bit if it's the first, second time you're engaging with it. But by the third, fourth time you're reading the book, you would actually get a greater understanding and appreciation, right, about how the book appeals to any personality type in the world, right? Any personality type. And Allah approaches you differently, right? Allah would approach you differently based on the character and personality that you inherently are, right? Allah would approach you in the way that you need to be approached in order to learn what you need to learn, and in order for you to teach what you need to teach in this life, right? So so that's just this conversation for today. So we will talk about another topic another day, right? Have a blessed day, everybody. Take care.